Hi, my name is Valerie, and this is my 10th video on my no-poo experience. So my first no shampoo shower was on June 1st, where I started out with baking soda and apple cider vinegar, and I learned that that was not great for my hair. And then you got to follow me along for a month. But my last recorded video was on July 6th, where I finally got my hands on some vegetable glycerin and I used it in conjunction with chamomile tea to rinse out my hair. And I ended up with a lot of residue in my hair. So we were a little confused about why that happened. And then my last actual shower was on July 14th, where I decided to mix up my egg recipe. I didn't film it, but instead of using a whole egg, I just used egg whites. So I had medium-sized eggs instead of a large egg. And I used 2 medium egg whites, and I used 3 tablespoons of water since I didn't have the yolk. So I was thinking, oh, it's not gonna coat all of my hair if I don't have that extra water in there. And it did just fine. And I thought, well, since the yolk is the part that gives that egg smell that people don't like, I'm going to try and not use apple cider vinegar and see how it turns out. And it turns out that it leaves my hair kind of dry because there is no yolk to give it moisture. So if you use just egg whites on your hair, use some apple cider vinegar as a conditioner. You're going to need it. It tangles really easily. So today is July 19th. Wow. So it's July 19th, and I am going to try playing around with vegetable glycerin again. I'm going to try using coconut milk this time. So coconut milk with vegetable glycerin, and I am going to use apple cider vinegar as a clarifier for my hair because the coconut milk, it coats your hair, and I imagine it leaves some sort of residue behind. And then what I've learned since my last time using vegetable glycerin is that vegetable glycerin really does leave residue in your hair. So the apple cider vinegar will help, hopefully, to get that out. And we'll see how it goes. For this part of the video, it's actually July 8th, which is 2 days after my update video on July 6th. And I just want to talk a little bit more about our new friend, vegetable glycerin. And I was doing a little research on some recipes that this can be used for, and I found a couple of fun facts that I thought were pretty interesting and I wanted to share. So, I was looking through websites and forums, and I actually found a forum where someone was asking, can I use vegetable glycerin with honey and a couple other ingredients? Just a basic recipe question. But in the comments, somebody had posted that, oh, every time I use vegetable glycerin in my hair, I have to make sure to use apple cider vinegar as a clarifier, or else I'm combing residue out of my hair. If you watched my previous video, then you'll know that even though the tea and vegetable glycerin got my hair lighter and clean looking, as in it got the oil out, it still was kind of stringy and felt like it had some sort of residue on it. And when I went to go comb it out, I did get residue on my comb. So it turns out that the vegetable glycerin was the culprit. And that is very interesting to me because the way it dissolved into the tea, I did not expect it to leave any sort of residue in my hair. So that was fun fact number 1, is that you have to use something like apple cider vinegar or another acid like lemon juice or lime juice in order to get the residue out of your hair. So the other fun fact that I learned while I was researching this is that even though it is great for getting moisture into your hair, It could also take moisture out of your hair. So vegetable glycerin is really good at grabbing and holding onto a lot of liquid, and that can be good, but that could also pose a couple problems. So if you're in a really, really, really humid environment and you use vegetable glycerin on your hair, it can actually hold on to so much water that it weighs your hair down, and it gets it, very wet and limp looking. So if you're in a really humid environment, you might not want to use vegetable glycerin. You might want to use something else to add moisture into your hair if your hair is dry. The flip side is, if it's a really, really, really dry environment, the vegetable glycerin will search for and hold on to anything it can grab in the case of liquid, and that means pulling it out of the core of your hair and causing your hair to be very dry and brittle and split easily. So if you are in a very, very dry environment, you probably don't want to use it either. So that I just thought was really interesting, that this ingredient right here that I keep looking at is great for your hair, but also can pose a few issues if you're in the wrong environment. So just pay attention to where and when you use it, because in the middle of winter, there's a possibility it could dry your hair up more. Or if it's in a really rainy season, then your hair might look more wet than you want it to. As we can see, I've got my coconut milk and I've got my vegetable glycerin. I already mixed it in the bowl, just so you don't have to watch that. And I want to touch real quick on the fact that I'm not using coconut milk from a can. I'm using it from a box. And people are going to say, oh, but if you use it from a box, it's got all of these extra chemicals and things in there, and it's not good for your hair. It's like, well, some people might go to a store where they can't find coconut milk in a can. This might be the only version they've got, so I'm going to try it and see how it works. But I read the side of the box quick, and I saw that the top 3 ingredients were filtered water, coconut cream, and sugar for flavor. And I'm like, that's not too bad. It's got a list of vitamins and minerals that are added, and then it's got some things for like thickeners like locust bean gum, and then it has ascorbic acid to preserve it so that it can sit in your fridge for a week. And I thought, that's not too bad. That's pretty natural stuff. We'll see how it goes. So the recipe that I'm using calls for half a cup of coconut milk and 2 teaspoons of vegetable glycerin, which is what I put into the bowl. Now, the original recipe I'm reading this from has other things. It has Castile soap, jojoba oil, and other essential oils for, like, if your hair is too oily or if it's too dry or something like that. But I don't know where I could possibly get Castile soap out here, liquid or not. And I don't really want to put things like jojoba oil in my hair because my hair is already kind of oily, so I'm just going to use the coconut milk and the vegetable glycerin, and I'm going to see how it goes. I realized I forgot a couple of things, so I also made up a spray bottle with 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and almost a cup of water, and I definitely used that after using the coconut milk in my hair. The other thing I forgot is I forgot to do the shot of my greasy hair again. And to be fair, you've seen my greasy hair at least 8 times by now, since this is the 10th video, but I think it was a little bit different this time, where because I didn't use apple cider vinegar my last shower, where I used just egg whites, I think there's definitely hard water here because I had a little bit of that, I guess you could call it the hair wax buildup, the mineral buildup in my hair. And that definitely affected my hair before my shower today. It was definitely kind of stiff, and when I went to go mess it up, it stayed messed up, and I actually had to comb it back out to make it look nice for going to work and such. And because I've been outside walking around and getting a little bit sweaty, I think that also made my hair a little bit darker. So it was a bit darker than it had been. And but other than that, it was the same. It was still greasy, a little more than halfway down, and it was still, stringy, and it was pretty much the same. It's just a little more stiff and a little more dark colored, because I also, instead of 4 days, I had a snafu where I ended up having to drive very far away to get a new phone. So I didn't get to take a shower yesterday, so it's been 5 days since my last shower. And those types of things affect how your hair looks. But I definitely would say my hair, it was very shiny, and it definitely was brown. It was dark brown, and being outside in the sun definitely helped to bring out some highlights of red a little bit in my hair. But it was pretty much the same. So, going on to what it was like to put coconut milk in my hair. It was really slippery, and it was actually really nice because the coconut milk was thick, so it coated my hair, and it didn't really run off all that much unless I poured too much where it couldn't really get into my hair. I definitely was more like a kind of spoon it onto my head with my hand type thing. And I would massage it in, and it massaged in really well, and it felt really slippery, and it was nice. It wasn't overly slippery, but it was enough that it moved around, and I was able to massage it in really well. And it smelled amazing. I don't know if you like the smell of coconuts, but I do, and it was like being in a tropical paradise where everybody's drinking coconut flavored drinks, and it was a really nice experience. So if you like the smell of coconut, then I recommend you do this at least once in your lifetime, just because it is really nice. It's like being inside like a Mounds bar or something. Rinsing it out, it was a little concerning. I started with cold water. If you've ever cooked with like coconut cream or used coconut cream or coconut milk before, if you put it in the fridge, it gets hard quickly, and if you put it on heat, it melts quickly. Or even coconut oil. But I could feel that because I started using cold water first, and I felt my hair get really stiff, and I was like, that is not what I want. So I switched to warm water, and that went away, and it washed out really easily. And then I put my apple cider vinegar all over my hair, and I let it sit, and I massaged it in, and I think I got the residue out of my hair. We'll see when it dries, but when I went to go rinse that out, my hair felt really, really, really heavily moisturized. And I think that's because of the coconut and the apple cider vinegar combined together. So we'll see how it is when it's dry. I'm kind of excited because it was a really nice experience putting it in my hair. But I'm a little bit worried because I don't know what the texture is going to be like once it's fully dry. So we'll see how that goes. So coconut milk puts a lot of oil into your hair. I don't even have to do much to show you. It's definitely stringy, and it feels like it's wet and slick, but it really is just oily and cold. And it's really shiny, that I will say. All the way down it's really shiny, but because it's oil in my hair, it is really dark, and I can feel it. I will say this though, because I did let the apple cider vinegar sit in my hair and I massaged in really well, I don't have any of that waxy buildup residue in my hair, so that's good. But I might have to make one of those dry shampoo recipes to see if I can soak up some of this oil for the next few days and just kind of make my hair a little less dark and oily looking. But it is clean. It still has just a little bit of that coconut smell, but I can't really smell it all that much. So if you wanted to put like a little bit of oil on your hair, like essential oil to make it smell good, then you could do that. But really, for my hair, which is fine and straight and thick and generally oily, coconut milk is not a good idea. But if your hair tends to be kind of dry, maybe using coconut milk will help you with some of your split ends and your frizz, and help to make your hair a little more soft, because it is very smooth. So for me, coconut milk was not a good idea. It was really nice when I was putting it in, though. It smelled good, but the end result just doesn't work for my hair. And I hope that whoever decides to try this has a much better end result than I do.